Yo, John Huey Radio back with you once again. Got my big sis on with me right now. She goes by the name of Kelly Glow Glow in the building.
You know this, man.
What's going on, man? It's been a while, but I see you still doing your thing, still looking good. Happy Women's History Month. Happy Woman Crush Wednesday too. If I can just throw you in that box.
Hey, I didn't even think about that.
What's been happening? Fill me in. What's going on?
Man, a whole lot, yo. Like, I can't say that, everybody responded different to the whole pandemic, COVID-19 situation. But for me, I was able to, just like really, really set myself up for this change, this metamorphosis. I was able to really just kind of take some time to self-reflect, to grow during this whole process. And I'm really excited about these new changes that I'm making.
Now, Kel, you've always stayed true to your art, and that's one thing I've always given you credit for. Regardless of who you was working with, who you was partnering with, you always stayed true to that West Coast grounded style of artistry that you have, and pretty much your messages not only inspire just women but generations. Can you speak to or tell me about what was it that always kept you grounded? What has been the key factor that's always kept you grounded throughout, your course of just pretty much growth?
Man, that's nothing but the love of Jesus Christ and the salvation. I mean, like I'm 45. When people look at me, they be like, no, you're not. You know what I mean? And honestly, just my faith and being connected with God through Christ has really just blessed me in so many ways, like physically, mentally, emotionally. And so you can't help but be grounded because having that type of relationship just humbles you. And it keeps you, for lack of better terms, it forces you to keep it real with yourself, because God is real with you. Like he's never fake with you. He shows you how it is. He laid out a whole game plan in the Bible. So, I cannot, in terms of self-identity, I can't go anywhere and not be who I am. And who I am is based on where I'm from and the experiences that I've had growing up, being originally from Compton, California. It just instilled in me all of who I am as a woman of God, a woman of color. So yeah, it's like you take that with you everywhere you go.
Now, with so many trends happening around you, I mean, we got so many different cultures, so many different, as you mentioned, identity changes, switches. We got the WAP thing that's happening, and all this other good stuff. Now, you've always worked with kids. You've always, in some ways, stayed connected to the sort of the next generation, but you also kept that middle ground piece going as well. What's your continued message as you continue to evolve, even in some ways, find different ways to stay relevant, to stay connected, to stay in the know? What's normally the message that you share with not just some people, but all people about, Kelly Glow Glow and the evolution itself?
He's so funny. Glow Glow. Glow Gang. So
Glow Gang.
My message, that's what it's about, Glow Gang. So God's leading our way, go and never give up. Okay? Like no matter what's going on, you know what I'm saying? There's something bigger out there than us, than this whole world. That's my full belief. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like that we've been given powers, like divine powers. We are spiritual beings. We are human. Nature, those two things combined give us power. So the message right there is just that we have a light. So you need to continue to let your light shine wherever you go. That's why I even call myself Glow in the first place.
Yep.
So it's about continuing to represent light in life, represent light in your relationships, represent light in your talents. So that question you said is so loaded. So like we are celebrating, we say, Women's History Month. And so just that one word, history itself, is anti-feminist. You feel me? Because it has the word HIS, which is his. So it's like all the stories out there are his stories. Like women aren't even part of the story. So I found it very interesting. Like I saw a lot of commercials and things like that where they changed it and said, you know, Women's Her Story Month, because we are very much a part of his story as well. And when you talk about hip hop, man, you talking about male dominated. If there's any example out here of anything male dominant, is definitely hip hop as culture. I just read this book. It was like the Queens of hip hop, and the narrative throughout that book basically was just saying how there's a lot of talented women out there, but just because of sexism, right? Just because of it being male dominant, just because of misogyny, that it's almost like this unwritten rule that you can't have more than one woman succeed at a time in hip hop culture, you know, or if there's a crew, you know, you have Wu-Tang can have 50 million guys as members, you know what I'm saying? But if a crew wants to get a girl, they can only have one. You know, it's just like always this double standard. And what does it take to be successful as a woman in hip hop? And as soon as, you know, somebody shows a little flesh, as soon as somebody shakes their butt or whatever, and it sells a lot of records, then they feel like that's the only narrative that we can have in the culture. So for me, knowing that that's not the case, knowing that there's so many women out here with talent, knowing that beauty doesn't have just one face or one style, that we have so many flavors. What I focus on and what I'm doing with my new project is basically just being a light in this life hip hop. How can I shine? How can I be a light? How can I be a counter narrative to all this WAP stuff, as you called it, that's going on right now?
So when even with that, you know, you mentioned in terms of it being, you know, certain things have to be shown, certain things have to be said in order for it to be relevant, or in order for it to reach, or in some ways just pretty much grow. You know, how do you in some ways transform that? Where's the transformation, even though there's so many things that people are being conformed to in terms of not giving in to the stereotype, but not making it so that it's you have to, you know, women in general have to be so connected or give in to what they expect you to do. What are some of the key components you think that need to be in some ways preached or shown, as well as practiced throughout, in order for that narrative to change?
Man, it's a crisis out here, especially with women, and not just Black women, just women in general. It's self-love, man. It's identity. See, a lot of that comes from what I call an internalized sexism, right? So, like, sexism is when you believe that women are basically inferior to men. And so women have been objectified so much, degraded so much, it's almost to the point where it's just like they just kind of threw in the towel and was just like, well, forget it. You know, they're going to look at me that way anyway, so I might as well just put it out there. But honestly, that's like internalizing the whole idea of sexism. So first of all, you have to find a way to love yourself more than the world loves you. You have to be able to put yourself on a higher pedestal than all that's going on. And then you will automatically fight against those images because it just won't even feel right within your soul. You know, I find it real interesting how some of these real popular artists out here, you know, doing this raunchy stuff, and then they turn around and say, I want to thank God. Like, thank God for what? Like, I can't imagine in my mind that God, his intention was for you to put yourself out there like that, the way that you're doing. And then like that was all part of the plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like, he might want you to be successful, but I don't think that was the way he wanted you to do it.
I mean, but
I don't think you credit God for that.
you do have a valid, strong point, and you do have a generation that's following behind that. You know, so as time goes, we went from Queen Latifah, you know, being the signification and really pretty much the identity of pride. You know, she's shown that. So where did the ball drop? I mean, because Queen Latifah didn't have to do all that. I mean, you even think about some forms. You say hip hop, you can go in R&B and hip hop. I mean, you didn't have the same sort of I guess, conversion in a sense that we have sort of accepted. So in some ways, how do we, or how's the next generation being protected as well as educated to show that there is another way, a better way? I mean, is it all about just what,
They're
eliminating?
not. When you say how are they being protected, they're not. It's crazy. Like, first of all, I feel like technology is a beautiful thing, but I also think it's kind of setting us backwards. Like having access to all this stuff on the internet, TikTok, Instagram, just all this instant gratification and just instant access to stuff without real information. A lot of people are accepting information as true without even doing any research. Um, and I also think it's part of a bigger plan. We still have people out there who are afraid of the power that we have as a people, and they want to continue to hold us back. So honestly, I think that there's, in my mind, a bigger agenda. When we talk about like radio and programming, the reason why they call it a program is because they're programming people. They play the same record over and over, 2-3 times within an hour with a certain message that's not uplifting to people. So there was a time when hip hop was doing that. Hip hop used to be like a space for information for people. Like Chuck D called it the Black CNN. If you wanted to learn anything about what was going on in politics, what was going on in business, what was going on in your neighborhood down the street, I mean, that's what rappers were rapping about. They were giving information and they were empowering people. There was a time when hip hop, like Poor Righteous Teachers and KRS-One and all those groups like that, where, truth be told, I needed a dictionary to even understand what they were talking about. You know what I mean? Like they were dropping knowledge. And at some point, it was like the executives were like scared of that, I think. I think we were empowering our people too much.
Now, you were big on education. You went back and got your doctorates. Well, you studied, I should say. You got your doctorates in music. I mean, hip hop. I mean, you took it to the extent of just wanting to not only educate yourself, but grow within yourself, as well as use every outlet that there's possible to know exactly what all this entails. What role, with you having that access as well as that that sort of investment, what role do you say education plays in that, in terms of actually knowing and understanding the value and the essence of what hip hop is and what art and how art should be expressed?
Education is huge. I mean, we're constantly educating ourselves, whether we think about it or not. Like this new millennium generation, like they don't understand how great they have it. Because I remember when I wanted to look up stuff, I had to go get an encyclopedia, find a volume G, you know what I'm saying? Find a page. Like all they have to do is hit a button. Like the information's right there. And knowledge is power. So they have access to so much. But at the same time, it's just they have these limited views and limited perspectives. So we just need to kind of help them gauge how to sort through and how to use the information that they have available to them. But in order for us to continue to grow, we have to learn. We have to learn about what's already happened. We're starting to see history repeat itself in so many ways. And so we have to look back, and then we also have to continue to move forward. So right now, what I'm doing is there's a national organization. It's a nonprofit organization called Hip Hop Congress, that's been around for a while. And for some reason, they just never really had any representation here in Atlanta. So I am the president. I just started a chapter here in Atlanta, Hip Hop Congress. And basically we focus on 5 main areas. And the first one is education. So knowledge of culture and education. We need to be self-aware. We need to also know about current events, what's going on in the world around us. And we need to learn about our own history. Like we need to tell people about hip hop. You know, a lot of people with trap and stuff like that, they think that's as far as it goes back. But no, it's been around almost 47 years now. So we have our own history that we need to make sure that we're telling our youth and sharing with them. But then we also look at community development. That goes a little bit further than community service. When you develop your community, you empower them to be more self-sufficient. We also look at entrepreneurialism, social activism, and political activism. So I'm really, really excited about this because basically it's just an opportunity for me to um, build a collective of artists, collective of business people, collective of educators, where we can go out and kind of speak to the youth and do workshops and things like that and hold events and do that very thing, help to educate them on who they are.
What should the hip hop museum look like? We have so many different museums that highlight and show us and representation. You have the National African American Museum. You have, of course, you have the Trap Museum. You have so many sort of broader spectrums or platforms, places where you can actually go and appreciate the art of a culture and the culture. What would or should a hip hop museum look like if that was the case, or if one was in some ways started?
So I think they're actually working on one right now. There's this committee and there's this movement right now. I think it's called the Universal Hip Hop Museum or something like that. So it's gonna show life because hip hop is life. Like hip hop is a way of life, right? It definitely needs to be focused on the main foundations of hip hop, which was peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. That was the vision that Afrika Bambaataa had in his mind when he came back from Africa and was like, you know what, we're gonna squash all this gang stuff and we're just gonna change. And this is what we're gonna be about. So it's all inclusive with people from all races, all backgrounds, all cultures. That was the true vision of what hip hop was supposed to be. So definitely you need to highlight that. But then a lot of people don't know that we have 10 elements of hip hop. A lot of people know about the original 4, but it's been expanded and we actually have 10 elements of hip hop. So you have b-boying, MCing, breakdancing, DJing, did I say beatboxing, knowledge of self, street entrepreneurialism, street language, street fashion, and health and wellness. So if you're gonna make a museum, you gotta include all of that. And that's what hip hop has done. Hip hop has influenced the entire world through each of those 10 elements, like to the point where it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry, hip hop.
And we talk about, when we break down, street fashion, we break down street knowledge. What does that entail? Is it based upon human rights, know your rights, know what you get if you get stopped by the police, if what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say? When we break down elements of street, what is the street knowledge that should be shown, shared, as well as applied on a daily basis, as it pertains to the elements of hip hop?
All of that, what you just said, like how to survive on the street, where to get a meal when you don't have a meal. So yeah, street fashion, street entrepreneurialism. So for example, Too Short selling cassettes out the back of out the trunk of the back of his car when none of the record companies none of the local record stores would take any of his tapes, but he knew he had something hot. That's street entrepreneurialism, making a way when there's no way. I feel like these water boys out here that, you've seen the news and everybody's been complaining about it. That's street entrepreneurialism. They're trying to hustle. They're trying to make $1 in the best way that they can, but it's also about helping our youth not just make $1, but also find ways to find opportunities to bring added value to their own community. Because when you can bring value to it, then your business will thrive. So, but that street fashion is just like an example of that. So like Salt-N-Pepa with they had the hairstyle, it was short on one side, long on the other. That was an accident. They were trying to put a perm, it didn't quite work, but you play it off, you keep going. That's what we do. We're so resilient as a people. We're so creative as a people, when we don't have so much access, resources to things, we will do the best we can with what we have and still hold our heads high. So that's how a do-rag becomes like a staple. you
Yeah,
know,
that
in your
fashion.
fashion wardrobe, you know. It's crazy.
You've carried, you know, that sort of that passion, as well as that Afrocentric vibe, and just staying true to your roots to all genres of music. You know, when I see you do your thing on the Christian hip hop side, you sort of explored and shown, I should say, you know, creativity in other ways to bring it all together. What does the future look like? I mean, is that still pretty much what you're doing moving forward as you continue to do the nonprofit, with the nonprofit organizations? Like, how does that all still sort of come together? Or is there sort of a shift you see as far as expansion, that you may try to do something a little different? Or how can we still in some ways get the real glow from the Glow Gang?
You always gonna get the real glow. I can't do nothing but keep it real. But my narrative is changing a little bit, because I kind of felt like at some point it just got to a point where it's like, with Christian hip hop, it's a bunch of Christians talking to other Christians, which is fine, but it's also kind of defeating the purpose, because you really want to try to win hearts to Christ who may not know him. And I'm just such a unique individual with such just special talents and gifts. And lately, I'm also what you call like a Renaissance woman. I'm always trying something new and I'm birthing something new. And I just have this fascination right now with K-pop and what they're doing over there. I love it.
K-pop.
Yes, I love it. And you know, they're always still in like rap, you know, every once in a while they're busting have their little hip hop moments. So I was just like, well, how could I flip it? How could I be a rapper and have a K-pop moment? And so that's basically what this whole new project is about. So it's definitely has more of a pop feel. Definitely positive. It's always going to be positive, because I always have to rep my brand, which is Glow Gang. That's Glow Gang for life. You know what I mean? That's just who I am. It's a part of my identity. But I'm definitely having fun with this new project. We just shot a video, and it's being edited right now. I can tell you, like, I can't, like, it's not released or anything, but I can't tell you the title. The title of the project is called Fire.
Fire.
And that's
Fire.
exactly what it is.
Fire.
Like, it's straight fire.
All fire.
Yes.
Fire, lit, everything. I love it. Listen, give me your top five female MCs that, no matter where you are, no matter who you're around, no matter, you know, what you're going through, you could always know that they're going to give you free game. They're going to continue to give you the knowledge as well as the upkeep that you need to keep you, you know, pretty much throughout the journey. Your top five female MCs that you know for sure, going to always deliver and come through.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah.
Because we have different waves. So I'm gonna take it back. Like, I love me some MC Lyte. I am Delight. Like, her voice, her delivery, her confidence, off the chain. But then you can't not have Lauryn Hill on the list, just because of what she was able to accomplish. She was just an amazing talent, but just a raw talent. And the ingenuity that she brought to the table, the intelligence that she brought to the table. Again, she was kind of like what I'm doing now, just being that counter narrative to what everything else was going on. Everyone else straightening their hair, she's wearing her hair nappy. You know what I mean? So, and just her gift. So definitely she's on there. There's this local artist here named Sarak, who I really, really like a lot. She's been doing this for a minute. She has 10 albums out already. She's an independent artist. But when you talk about staying true, like from her first record to her most recent record, like she's been true to her style all the way through. So
Sarak goes hard. Sarak she's getting a lot of credit right now, making a lot of waves, not just locally. I mean, she pretty much blowing up around the globe.
She's grown a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see who else. There's another chick, Dynasty, who I like as well. She's been doing her thing. I like Rhapsody, but I'm not really on that bandwagon. I mean, she's dope. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. Let's see.
Yeah, give me one more legend that you know for sure gonna always come through, no matter if she's speaking, if she's singing, if she's just giving free game. Like, give me the one that, you know, through generations to come will always in some ways hold it down and be in the forefront in terms of her art as well as her overall just presence.
Ooh. I don't know. I guess it would have to be the queen, because like right now she's doing her thing like behind, but she's been behind the scenes. Like Queen Latifah can get up and rock the crowd at any moment she wants to, but she's made so much strides just in business alone with Flavor Unit, with the record company, and then also with her film industry. And right now she's on TV. She's on our screens right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know that was kind of like a random list, but yeah.
We only needed 5. I mean, past, present, and future, but there's no past. There's still pretty much continued growth. So that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Yo, Glow Gang in the building. My girl Kelly Glow. Any last words, thoughts, what we need to know as you continue to progress and give the people what they need, you know, both spiritually, mentally, and just overall, just as living beings? Like, what's the words of encouragement and words of just comfort that you want to share and just leave with us?
I mean, you got to continue to seek. You got to be willing to grow and then continue to seek growth. And when you do that, good things will come to you. You know, like if you don't like the way your body looks today, guess what? It can change. It's like elastic. You know what I'm saying? You can change your diet, you can work out, and then the body you have today in 3-6 months from now is not going to be the same. So, but you have to be willing. You have to be willing to commit yourself to that. So that's what self-empowerment is all about. So I think that's just a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift that we've been given as human beings. We have the ability to change what we don't like about ourselves, if there is something that we don't like about ourselves. And I don't like the narrative that's going on in hip hop with women artists. And so I'm seeking out to change that. So look out for Fire. It's going to be out soon. You guys can always reach me, kellyglow.com. That's my website. All my social media is Real Kelly Glow. And I represent the Glow Gang, #GlowGang. And yeah, it's on and popping. Let's go.
There it is, man. Always and forevermore. My big sis, Kelly Glow, Glow Gang. Straight from Compton, California, all the way down to GA and worldwide, still doing the thing, man. Keep holding it down, keep thriving, keep believing, keep just being you, Kelly Glow.
All right, you know it. Peace.
John Hui Radio. Y'all stay with me. Still more to come.
Music, interviews, podcasts, and so much more. John Hui Radio. Next level.